House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
Afternoon, my friends. Welcome once again to House to Home. I have the very lovely Liz Duenas from RE/MAX Diamond Realty here, and Scott Hagan is one of the executives at Pacific Solar, and this is part 2 of our discussion on solar panels. And maybe, Scott, just to give you some context and get you up to speed, Liz and Gina last week were talking about how solar panels affect the value of a home and what maybe some misconception about the total cost of ownership about having solar panels can be for the homeowner. So we brought you in for your expertise and your advice. So we're very greatly appreciative of what you're going to pass along. So thank you, first of all.
Yes. So Scott, we did discuss how we have some issues with people selling, and they've got a 20-year contract. And then on the other side, we have clients that have properties that they installed the solar panels themselves, and and have saved monies at least on their power bill. So we kind of wanted to get your feedback on if someone wanted to do the pros and cons of doing either one of them from your perspective.
Yeah, okay, sure. Thanks for bringing me on. If my internet gets a little bit slow or I get frozen, I have 3 kids that are all online going to school. So the solar panels themselves the solar panels don't necessarily bring down the value of the home. If the homeowner owns the system, it becomes a part of the house, a fixture, an asset, and it should bring up the value, just as laying down tile would. If you lay down a $1 per square foot tile, it may bring up the value of the house, say $5 a square foot. Same with solar panels. You have the asset value, like whatever you paid for it. If you paid $20,000, then it's got that value, or the derated value, and then it has the savings. It's got the house becomes cash flow positive. So you have, and then you have the warm and fuzzy value, and it's hard to put a number to that, but it has a value. And so if the homeowner owns the system, if they went out and they bought it through whatever means that's out there, it should bring up the value of the house a good amount. And now, under a power purchase agreement, the homeowner doesn't own the system. It's owned by a group or a firm or a company that invested into it and then did the install on their house, and they entered into an agreement with the homeowner to purchase the power being produced. Not the power being consumed, but the power being produced. So whatever power that system is producing, there's a meter, and then this company reads the meter, sends you a bill, and charges you for it, regardless of whether or not you're home or not home, or occupied or not occupied. And under one of those agreements, power purchase agreements, the homeowner doesn't have to pay anything up front because they don't own it. They just have to sign a lot of paperwork, and you're right, it's a long contract. It's typically 25 years, and I do have firsthand experience with power purchase agreements, because we have another company called Paxol Generation, and we did maybe 8 power purchase agreements for the Archdiocese on some churches and some schools, many schools. And in that, it was a local investor, and we were able to tailor the contract. It's still 25 years, but in ours, we wanted to make sure that it was a triple win. Win-win-win for the contractor, the investor, and for the host, which is the school or the church. And as things got tough for the Archdiocese, we did not execute or activate the escalator in our power purchase agreements, so our power rate never went up. Now the disadvantage to that is that you don't own it. If you don't own it, you don't get any of the benefits of ownership, such as the tax credit. A 30%, back then it was a 30% tax credit, and next year it's a 26% tax credit. The year after that, it's a 22% tax credit. You don't get any of those benefits. One of the other obstacles may be that since we're talking about real estate, is that when you're trying to sell a house that has solar with a power purchase agreement attached to it, has a contract attached to it, my understanding is that the buyer must assume the contract in order to let go of that and in order to even sell the house. So that might be difficult. But I understand sometimes it's doable.
We wanted to get your pointers on what people can do to, let's say, install their own solar panels. What's involved, and can someone hire you to do that, or if they wanted to do it, what's involved?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of companies on the island that do it, including Pacific Solar, and give them a call. The site inspection should be free. It's like a sales call, but the homeowner would have to find their own financing. So we give you we find out how much power you need, how much square footage you have, and take a look at other things around your house, like the electrical connections, and then give you a price. We can point you in some directions to find financing, which would be local banks, or give you some pointers you could do within your own personal financing. And then ultimately you put a deposit down. When we're done, you pay us, and we're done. You own it, and you start saving all the power that's produced.
So Scott, if I own a 1,500 square foot home or a 1,200 square foot home, if you were to install one, what would the cost be? Just to give our viewers an idea, if that they did it themselves, what would that price look like?
It'd be scary for most. So a 1,200 square foot home, that's about average. And so the average GPA customer is somewhere around $200 to $300. And then, so with that, you're looking at maybe 20, in the mid to high 20s, 20,000, 26, 28,000 maybe for a PV system, photovoltaic system of your own. It does sound scary, right? When you think about, oh, I got to go get that money. But people go and buy cars every day. They go drive in and they buy $40,000 cars. Sometimes they buy two. But the difference is the automobile financing is very mature, and you can go in to check stubs and drive away with the car. There's no financial vehicle.
So if I got my 1,200 square foot home and I financed it to the bank and got, let's say, a $20,000 loan or a $25,000 loan, what will my power bill look like?
So if your power bill was $300 and you invested, say, $26,000 into your photovoltaic system, your power bill will come all the way down to near zero. But it can't be zero. There's still a customer service charge of $100, and all that savings is yours. Under the alternative, which is the power purchase agreement, your GPA power bill will come way down, but then you owe a solar power bill, which is almost equal to what you were paying with Guam Power Authority. So in
the long run, because from what I'm hearing from you, number one, there could be a savings, and of course we're going to have to run that through the number of years, right? The savings, yes. But you're also saying there is a savings. There's a credit that we'll get from the power company.
No, it's an income tax credit. It's a federal income tax credit, and because Guam mirrors the federal tax laws, it applies to Guam as well. And it comes off of your income, whether you're a business or personal. Now, for personal, you'd have to have that tax liability. What that means is you normally don't get a refund, and you normally owe the government. In this case, you wouldn't owe the government for up to 30% of what you spent. So, $20,000 system, you have a $6,000 tax credit. Is that right? No, an $18,000 tax credit. Nope. My math is wrong. Jason, can you edit that?
Oh, no. Well, it is a substantial amount of money. I mean,
a $6,000 tax credit.
Yeah,
a $6,000 tax credit, which if you owed GovGuam $6,000 in that 1 year, you could take it all. If you didn't, it rolls over until you use it up.
So it's a one-time tax credit, is what you're saying.
Yep. Yes. And it just
and then
rolls
if
over
my power bill. So that would be one aspect of having solar panels. And then the other aspect would be if I had a $300 power bill, my power bill could go down to what, a few dollars maybe?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But you'd still have to do your part. Just because you have solar doesn't mean let's turn everything on and now we can use more power. You got to stay the same. Whatever you were doing, keep it up, and if anything, be more energy efficient.
I have a client that installed solar panels, and we're going to be selling his house, but he was telling me that he installed, on the roof of his home he spent about 90,000, but his power bill for a huge executive home is only about $15.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's a lot. You could save a ton. Yeah, we've done some for executive homes that the systems were in the range of 70 to 80,000, and their power bills went from about $2,000 down to like $100.
Mm-hmm. So Liz, let's give the final word as we are unfortunately running out of time. But again, now that we're looking at the total cost of ownership about a solar system, and if you are thinking about investing in photovoltaics for your home and everything like that, what should people know overall?
Know more of? It's great. I mean, you won't realize it until you actually start doing the savings. But go around to the banks. It's easy to get a consumer loan. For most actually, and the consumer loan payment is going to be a little bit higher than your savings, but that's only for 5 years. After 5 years, you cut off that ball and chain, and you're free. You own it and you save. And
then when you can start taking your family out to dinner, and you can start go from 8-ounce steaks to 16-ounce steaks all the time, then you're saving money, right?
Either that or start paying for college tuition.
Oh, there you go.
It's also a sales factor when you're selling your home, because they'll save on their power bill.
Yeah, on day one, you don't have that expense.
All right. Well, Scott, thank you so much for your insight. Check them out, everybody, at Pacific Solar. And Liz, a pleasure as always. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Jason.